Okay, all right. I believe we're ready now, huh? I might be having some difficulty connecting to the Galaxy Afui network. Hopefully that problem can be resolved soon. Don't worry. Hopefully that problem can be resolved soon. But without no further ado, let's get on with this show. So what I'm going to do is just play the intro for one more minute, and make a slight adjustment to the settings, then I'll be right back to you. Here we go. Here we go. All righty. I'm going to begin the show. There you are. Don't worry, we'll overcome the slight technical difficulties connecting with galaxyafui.net. That will resolve itself in a few minutes' time. But the show must go on. This is the Motivator Show. This is where we translate our words into action and where success is ours for the taking. And that you have to believe. Success is ours for the taking. Determined, focused, forthright. Absolutely, absolutely. And I hope you're feeling good this fine morning. I hope you're feeling good, or wherever you are in the world. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good sunset, huh? I hope you're feeling well. And I've got to say, thank you again for the feedback I've had to the previous transmissions, the previous shows, the previous podcast. I am heartened by your warm words. Thank you. Thank you. And I will continue to provide high quality content that meets with your desires. So first of all, before I begin, this show is going out on multi-platform, wide-ranging multi-platforms. And I want to make sure you've all understood what is necessary to continue to develop these shows. These shows are critical if we're to spread across the internet, across the world, across the globe, positive messages that come from African peoples of the world. It's so important. It is understood. We are to go beyond those petty barriers that hold us back so that we can become, and forgive me, let's get this right. So we will continue to take our place around the world in those places of influence and power where decision making is taken. We will continue to create growth and wealth for ourselves. We will continue to be the best of humankind. That is vitally important. So this show, as many of you will be aware, but just to keep you up to date, that we continue to be outstanding in our transmission. Okay. So GalaxyAfui.net is, of course, our digital radio platform that we go out on, that is GalaxyAfui.net. And then we might be a slight difficulty there for the moment, but we'll solve that shortly. And again, under The Motivator Show. And of course, we're going out live via YouTube, again, under The Motivator Show, Facebook Live on The Motivator Show, and of course, audio only on Mixcloud, okay? And that, again, under The Motivator Show. And of course, you see key clips on Instagram and TikTok. TikTok, again, under The Motivator Show. Instagram, it's _motivator_show. All righty. And there will be other platforms coming on board shortly. Watch this space. And most vitally, I say to you all, and this is what really matters, particularly if you're on Facebook and YouTube. What's important, I want to encourage you, where possible, to give us the likes. Let me do this, get the other adjustment for you. I want you to give us the likes. I'm going to put this screen up. Let me take this screen off and put the other screen up, because I want you to see what's vital to us. What is vital to us is that you give us the thumbs up. You see it? You see that wonderful thumbs up, the digital thumbs up that come up? There you are, the thumbs up. Really important. On YouTube, give us those thumbs up. And what will happen? The YouTube algorithms will direct traffic to the show, okay? Subscribe for free on YouTube. Subscribe for free. It doesn't cost you a penny. You're simply notified of shows as they come up. There you are. Subscribe for free, okay? On Facebook, of course, follow the Motivator Show page. Why not follow the Motivator Show page? Of course, Mixcloud, you can find us under the Motivator Show. Okay, there you are. There you are. There you are. That's where we are. And this list will be added to. 2024 will see an extension to the many platforms live that we will transmit on. Okay, so I truly look forward to you sharing the messages, liking each show, and subscribing, no cost to yourself. It's free to subscribe, all right? It is vital that we support each other. Spread the word. If you like the content, please make a comment. If you're on Facebook or YouTube, I enjoy your chat. The chat is now open. The chat is now open on YouTube and Facebook. I welcome your messages via YouTube or Facebook. It is not a problem. You can send messages anytime. If you've got a question, I may even read out your question. But I welcome your commentary on the vitality of this show. Okay. Now, I want to also give a big thumbs up, and I know you all would understand what I'm about to say. Our last week's show. Last week's show, of course, was #Ninus is right. I've got to congratulate, Tony Nandi, the co-convener of Ninus, that's right, I want to congratulate him. Wasn't he an outstanding speaker and presenter of the case of the many cultures and peoples that belong to Ninus, who seek to reform to the Nigerian constitution, that way in which Nigeria is governed. Because clearly, we all have a stake in Nigeria's success. It is critical We help all Nigerians, regardless if you are Igbo or Yoruba, Fulani or Hausa or other ethnic group in Nigeria. It is critical that we help them to find a suitable compromise that allows Nigeria to flourish. Why do we want it to flourish? You recall the caption. From a village to a city. With all the technologies of the 21st going on to the 22nd century. Yeah, and manufacturing the city, yeah, a city of commerce, a city of culture and art, a city of hope and prosperity for all Nigerians, regardless of your ethnic origins. Yeah, it is vital. It is vital. We need to help Nigerians, to help them to sort out the governance of that great country. We will return to Nigeria, and that's how important it is. We will return to Nigeria and look at other aspects of life inside that country. Okay. But today's show, I want to now get right into the lifestyle messages. And each of you will understand the importance of the lifestyle messages. You understand why I do this every strong, the lifestyle messages. You understand why it's critical to your health, to our health, these lifestyle messages. It is incumbent upon us to help each other to live healthy lives, long lives, happy lives, prosperous lives. I've said many times, if you want to go fast and earn a quick dollar, a quick pound, do it by yourself. But if you want to go far and it's sustained, it takes us to the next century, next generation, and our children will benefit. We do this together. Yeah, it's a typical African communal mentality. Yeah, you recall the Ubuntu generational wealth. It is collective thinking, understanding what it takes to grow together. Yeah, that's Ubuntu. Yeah. So let me go right into the lifestyle message. I'm a little late, so I'm going to not canter through it because they're important messages, but they're messages that I want you to hear. And I'm hoping that you will resonate with these crucial messages. Just a few minutes I need to take out in each of these transmissions devoted to lifestyle messages. I'm just putting it in now. There you go. Let me bring it up on the screen properly. There you go. There you are. So I ask you, please, to consider the amount of sugar and salt that you ingest each day. Okay. And I realize for many of you, it is habit. It's a part of the cuisine. It's an understanding. It is an understanding that you formed habits, and habits are hard to change. Habits are hard to change. But many of you will be well aware of the effects of sugar on our bodies, our physiology, if you like, okay? And of course, the effect it has if your body's overwhelmed with sugar on the production of insulin from our pancreas, which is an organ inside our bodies. And many of you be directly aware, because it appears to be in every other African family, whether you're from the continent or you're born here in Europe, if you're from the Caribbean or United States of America, it is the same. We have unusually high levels of diabetes in our communities. It is incumbent on us to think carefully about the amount of sugar that we consume each day. I no longer purchase sugar from the grocery store for that reason, because there's ample sugar in my general diet. I urge you to think carefully about the amount of sugar that you consume, and particularly for parents and guardians, how much sugar you allow your children to consume, and develop that what can be life-threatening habit Yeah. You don't need to give them sweeties. Yeah. Give them fruits and vegetables or other treats. They do not need sweets. I urge you, parents, I urge you, guardians, I urge you, the lovers of children who are concerned about their general health, do not give them sweets. But I equally ask you to consider the amount of salt that you ingest each day. Salt is one of those flavor enhancers, yeah, so-called. Okay. The problem is that we consume far too much of it. And one of the effects of salt is to harden our arteries. In other words, the circulatory system in our bodies. And in doing so, our heart has to pump even more vigorously with greater pressure than would normally be the case. The consequence, of course, is you develop hypertension or high blood pressure. And many of you be well aware, because again, in about a third of our families and rising, there's a member or members of the family with high blood pressure. At this point, I want to show you an instrument I purchased only a few weeks ago. Let me take this off for a moment. Let me take this off for a second. There you are. You can see me now. There you are. I purchased this instrument. Okay, this is a blood blood pressure meter. Okay, it allows you can buy it from the grocery stores or from your chemist. Okay, and you could do it at home, and you can test your own blood pressure. I'm going to show it to you again. I want to encourage you, those of you who might be concerned or borderline cases, you can purchase from the shop, from your grocery store, indeed from your chemist, yeah, your pharmacy store. Such a piece of equipment, okay, to monitor your blood pressure, okay. And we will have a practitioner to discuss this subject with you all at a future transmission. But I urge you, if you can afford it, purchase the equipment and just monitor your own blood pressure. But if in doubt, speak to your doctors. Speak to whoever has access to your medical records, okay? So let me now press on. Let me press on. I just want to show you that piece of equipment. I monitor my blood pressure. Just to be sure. Just to be sure. Just to be sure. Okay? Just to be sure. I also ask you to consider the amount of carbohydrates that you consume each day. As you know, I say this every week. Carbohydrates typically, in our case, derive from wheat-based products or indeed root vegetables such as potatoes and yam. And yes, I get it. It's part of our staples, part of our staple food we eat every day. The problem is, it's the overconsumption. It's the overconsumption. And this is what I would say to you all, and many of you, I get it, don't worry, I get it. The professionals suggest that you should eat no more than a fistful of food per sitting. And I say that with, I'm also guilty, because a nice plate of food, yeah? But we all eat far too much, far more than our bodies require, far more than our bodies require. And therefore, we've just got to consider how best to serve our needs, okay? So clearly, we've got an issue here in our cuisines because it is full of carbohydrates, particularly yam and potatoes, yeah, and wheat-based products. So I urge you to think and consider the amount of sugar that you are consuming each day. Okay. I equally ask you to consider, and we just move the caption along, because the next caption, of course, will focus on that other ingredients that is in our diet. And this is one that it is difficult to shake off. It is very difficult to shake off. Why is it difficult to shake off? And you're going to understand it in a moment. Because the presence of fat in our diet is quite profound. I'm going to say it again. The presence of fat in our diet is quite profound. I'm going to make you see me this time. Let me take off that other caption behind me. There you are. It is quite profound because clearly one of the effects of the overconsumption of fat is that many of us, me included, develop bloating, accumulation of fat. We store fat in our bodies. And of course, you see many members of our communities with bloated shoulders, bloated chest, bloated abdomen, or bellies if you like. Yeah, you see those bellies? Yeah. Bloated thighs and bloated buttocks, or bottoms if you like. Yeah. This is directly related to our lifestyle and what we put into our bodies. It is directly related. I urge you, reconsider the amount of fat that you consume, okay? And where possible, get rid of this fat off the meat. Get rid of it, yeah? Get rid of it, because it only harms. And here is a further example on the screen of the effect of accumulated fat and carbohydrates. We become hardened in our arteries, and therefore it restricts the blood flow. And in restricting the blood flow, restricting the blood flow to our extremities, to our limbs, to those vital parts of our bodies that need rich oxygen supply. And of course, it creates the potential for heart attacks. And many of you be aware, the level of heart disease in our community, again, is way above the national levels. Whether you be in Europe or the Caribbean or indeed the United States of America, the Americas, it is definitely a big problem. But it's directly related to our lifestyle. And it is a fact that we've got to face, but we've got to work with each other to change ourselves. The last ingredient I want to give light to is, of course, starch. Starch is one of those ingredients that typically, in our case, comes in the form of rice. Okay? Yes. Okay. All right. Let me do this. I know if you come from the Caribbean, and you're Jamaican in particular, the rice and peas is part of our staple food. I get it. The problem is, it's the overconsumption of rice and peas. I understand, particularly from West Africa. I get it. The jollof rice, which I love, jollof rice. I love it. It's the overconsumption. I say again, we should be consuming no more than a fistful of food per sitting. The challenge is that our plates are much larger than a fistful of food, okay? And we simply have to consider, what is the way forward? Do we want to make the change in our lives? Do we want to make those changes in our lives so that the starch doesn't become a problem for us? So not only are we gaining starch from rice, but we're also gaining the starch from the ingredients in those wonderful cupcakes, yeah? Those sweet things we love to give to children, yeah? Full of starch. I say again, it's not the consumption of starch the problem, it's the overconsumption which is the problem. That is the problem. It looks very nice on the screen, doesn't it? Yeah? It looks very nice. Problem is, it may not affect you now or next week or next month or next year or next decade. It could very well have a detrimental impact on you. And you could end up like the persons on the screen. Overweight. You see those abdomen, bloated chest to shoulders, bloated thighs. You can see it all on the screen. We need to avoid this as a reality for ourselves. We've got to try to avoid this as a reality for ourselves, because it's most devastating. It is most devastating a condition to have. So I urge you not to become like the figures on the screen. You can avoid it, but working together, we can all make a difference. And I want to emphasize To those of you who are not overweight, do not shame our brothers and sisters, our elders and others. Do not shame them. Help them. Hold them. Help them so they know that we are working together to promote good health and well-being. But yes, the screen doesn't lie. There are far too many bodies that look like these on the screen. And you see the fat flowing over the waist. Because, of course, you all know that the experts recommend that you should eat far more fruits and vegetables, particularly green vegetables, but a broad range of vegetables. You can see the beetroot, the tomato, the celeries, yeah? You can see the carrots. You can see the grapes, the oranges, the melons, yeah? You can see the corn, yeah? You see the cauliflower, the norianga, yeah? You can see the wonderful fruits and vegetables on the screen. Our bodies crave for this type of food, untainted food. This is what our bodies crave. Give our bodies what it desires, the food that allows it to take care of you. Boost your immunoresponse. Maintain good vigor when you wake up. You feel the vigorousness because you've eaten the right balanced diet. This is what our bodies demand. Yeah, this is what our bodies. The avocados there. You see the pumpkin seeds there. Yeah, you see the walnuts. Yeah, you see the cantaloupe. Oh, you see the cantaloupe. Yes. Those of you don't know, it really. No, I'm going to say keep it. I'll explain cantaloupe to you next strong. Yeah, it is. These are the foods of life that are flowing before you. Equally important, of course. It's equally important that you drink the appropriate amount of water each day. I'm told between 2 to 3 liters of water per day. It does vary depending upon your height and your mass. But drinking water is important. There is considerable water, of course, in the right food that you consume, particularly the fresh food, which I've just demonstrated previously. It's not so much water in the processed foods that are readily available in the grocery store, but there's ample water in fresh food wherever possible. But drinking an appropriate amount of water is an essential part of who we are as human beings. I understand that it is difficult, and I'm sorry about that. But we've got to work together. That's why the communal lifestyle is so important. Working together is important. And you now see on screen demonstration of African peoples exercising, doing press-ups, holding the weights, running, jogging, running up and down the stairs. And yes, I had my weights handy. I'm going to demonstrate my weights to you. Here are my weights. Yes. You can see it. I love my weight. I do 400 press up with my weights, both on both arms and both legs. Each leg. Therefore, you've got a 1600 press up just using my weights alone. And trust me, I sweat. I feel totally puffed out at the end of it. But the benefits to my body is enormous. That cannot be understated. Our bodies demand to be worked because if we used to go hunt on the African plain for our food, running, being vigorous is a vital part because if you were not fit, you could not eat. You could not get your food. This is what we need to do. If you want to maintain good vigor in your bodies, you've got to exercise. Eating good food and not exercising, you kind of cancel each other out. It's important to eat good food and exercise. But equally as important, I'll just say very quickly, is your mental health and, of course, spiritual health. And in both cases, if in doubt, seek out professional advice. Or speak to your friends, those you trust, and seek advice from that person. I'm confident that such a person who has your interest at heart will give you the support that you need, the guidance you need, so you can maintain the best possible mental health and, of course, spiritual health. It is vital for who you are as a human being. There you are. Those are the messages. But I just want to just remind you that I've encountered so many members of our communities who've heard the messages and have been responding in a positive way. I've got to say, I'm heartened by the examples up and down Britain that I've seen. And I'm going to bring a few of those examples to you very soon. Watch this space. I've asked them to take videos of the African people, black people, coming together in common aim, common purpose, and exercising together. Yeah, exercising together. And the effect is, doing it together, is that you feel as if you are one family. You feel a sense of kinship to each other. So I'm going to play you a clip of the Countdown organization, a group of African peoples from the continent, from Europe and the Caribbean, who've come together, pooled their resources, and are now exercising regularly together. I want to applaud them. I'm going to play this clip for you so you can appreciate their magnificence. There you go. Let's play the clip, all right? Let's bring them on.
Cheese. Famous. Hello, 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 hello. You get one life on leave. Me self get one life on leave. Why we no go use am gladdy and enjoy the time. Palava no dey finish. Time me no dey wait nobody. Now why I dey try for always get am nice every day and night. This one way we all fend we safe, now nobody own. You want to eat with too much, we go down you belly, now you young. And the balance where you go die left, now all the money on. So why for the greedy you say for? Now the motor car where you let buy 'em. If you see finance where you collect bill 'em. Oh. You meet up woman where you let yarn 'em. And if you let the man na for keep 'em. Want them more. The food where you feel for eat na for eat 'em. That fine la power where you let na for buy 'em. And tie 'em more. And if you baby love you back love 'em. But if you love them all now you na for left 'em. Want them more. Cause nobody know waiting tomorrow all. So every day of my life till all I fasting enjoyment stay go. Now for land for care for yourself. Nobody love you pass yourself. All man they fed for himself. Oh. Now why I know they allowed with the other man they can't take me peace away. Me joy away. Me smile away. Oh no make nobody take you peace away. Me joy away. Me smile away. Oh no. Every day. I see they also they work for the pay. They like na boku on a small you the cage. Land for the loose body 110. No to money, no to gently. No money make motor man and bother. As long as you get waiting you they eat. Land for the loose body 110. This one way we all fend we safe. Now nobody own. You want to eat with too much we go down you belly now you young. And the balance where you go die left now all the money on. So why for the greedy you say for? Now the motor car where you let buy 'em. If you see finance where you collect bill 'em. Oh. You meet up woman where you let yarn 'em. And if you let the man na for keep 'em. Want them more. The food where you feel for eat na for eat 'em. That fine la power where you let na for buy 'em. And tie 'em more. And if you baby love you back love 'em. But if you love them all now you na for left 'em. Want them more. Cause nobody know waiting tomorrow all. So every day of my life till all I fasting enjoyment stay go. Now for land for care for yourself. Nobody love you pass yourself. All man they fed for himself. Oh. Now why I know they allowed with the other man they can't take me peace away. Me joy away. Me smile away. Oh no make nobody take you peace away. Me joy
Oh, you got to love them, haven't you? Yeah, you got to love them. They do this 2-3 times a week. They come together and exercise together. And you notice the majority were overweight, the whole range of other conditions. But they understand the importance, absolute importance of taking care of their health. Understood. They're not resisting, not putting their heads in the sand, or pie in the sky. They understand the importance of coming together with common aim and common purpose. Common aim and common purpose. And in doing so, it made the exercise routine that much more tolerable. So I commend the Countdown organization. They're based here in South London. Okay, I commend them. Responded to the message. We need to work together. If you want to go fast and do this for yourself, you do it by yourself. If you want to go far and for that progress to be sustained for one generation, for 2 generations, for this century, the next century, we do it together. That's communalism. That's the only way forward. Oh, well done. And the other organizations have come together. Well done. Long may you take care of your health, both physical, mental, and spiritual health. Well done. Well done. Now then, what I'm going to do, I believe there may be some issues still with the Galaxy Afui connection. I've checked my equipment. We may have a problem ongoing for Galaxy. I've checked my equipment. My equipment seems to be sound. I apologize, those of you who are viewing us via galaxyafui.net, that we will hopefully resolve the problem as my interview continues, because I now need to get to the theme of today's show. And I just want to, before I bring in my guest, I want to address this particular issue this way. And this is, of course, the future Republic of Jamaica. Mm-hmm. Now, this has been an interesting journey, because the process is well underway in Jamaica. But I'm using Jamaica as a template. But of course, you recall we've had previous shows on Sudan, or the Sudan, but most certainly South Sudan. Okay, and you recall they're going through exactly the same process, And of course, our previous show focused on the Nigerian constitution. You can see the fundamental nature that constitutions play in the life and times of the peoples. You understand? So, of course, we must be very much aware of what the constitutions contain. The issues that are sought and identified as being priority issues for the peoples. So what I want to do today, as we've had the opportunity to hear from professionals and principally men from Jamaica discussing the Constitution. This time, I want to hear a woman's perspective, a woman's priority for Jamaican society, the Jamaican future constitution. Oh, I had my guest here in a moment ago. She's just disappeared. I can ask my guest to come back into the studio. I was about to bring you in at 8:45 a.m. Let's get my guest has returned. There we go. My guest has returned. Okay, I think she's ready for us. We're going to receive a woman's perspective. Okay, it's going to be really interesting because us men, we're not shy in speaking up. Yes, I know we're supposed to be that. I know, I get it. But ultimately, I've said this many a times, we serve our women. we serve our women. All we do ultimately is to ensure that our women are safe, our children, they can bear children in good conditions, and they are happy. Yeah, because they complete who we are as men. Uh-huh. We have to listen to the women and ensure decisions that we take as men, the women are totally vested in those decisions. We've got to make sure that they are never excluded from our decision-making processes. So today, deliberately, I want to hear from the women. So I'm taking one woman as an exemplar. I'll open the phone, but I only want to hear from women. Today, we want to hear the voices of women. So let's see if I can bring in our guest, if I can bring her in. Oh, it worked first time. Oh, and she's looking so wonderful. Good morning. Good morning, Laverne. How are you? How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm so well. I love your plant there. Oh,
Thank you very much.
there you are. It's creating, and it's creating what's this? Oxygen, of course. Creating oxygen, ensuring your environment there is wholesome and there's life filled, huh?
True. Yeah,
You are. There you are. How are you feeling this fine morning?
I'm feeling great. Positive.
And if I may say so, I thank you for accepting my invitation today to be the voice of women, for Jamaican women in particular, and for you to be prepared to comment what your priorities are for the future constitution. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. No, thank you very much. Thank you. And I say again, I will welcome later on voices of women. I only want to hear from women on the phone calls eventually. I understand that there may be a problem with the, which is interesting, with the let's get it right, on the chat facility. I need to work out what's going on there, but I'll sort that out in a moment. But I want to, first of all, Laverne, I know you, of course. Okay, I know you. I want you just to help us along the way here, and to enable the audience to appreciate who you are as a person. Just to introduce yourself. But can I ask you maybe describe an event or person that had the greatest impact on your life?
Well, I'd have to say my grandmother, my
Mother.
paternal grandmother, who's from St. Elizabeth, and she just encompassed lovingness and kindness and strength. She was strong in her faith. She was very spiritual,
Mhm.
and she was just like the backdrop and the soul food of the family. So she was my biggest influence to
Wow.
teach me humility and love.
Wow. She taught you humility and love. Wow. We need more of that in society, huh?
Definitely.
She did well. She did well. I can assure you. All right, I can testify. She did well. Wow, that's a powerful affirmation. That's a powerful affirmation. But Laverne, the discussion on the future Jamaican constitution. At the moment, it's very much, whilst there's been some wide, iron and wide consultation, it's very much with the politicians at this stage. Yeah. Okay. So we want to send a message to the politicians in Jamaica who are putting together proposals for the future constitution. Okay. And I won't go through the technicalities of the constitution. I want to tackle it from a more sociological point of view. You know, the priorities that a woman would seek to ensure are included in a future constitution. Okay. So maybe if I can first invite you just to list for me maybe 5 key topic areas that you believe the Constitution should address to ensure equality of opportunity for all. What would be your 5 areas of interest that you think a Constitution should address? Social interest.
Well, the basic essentials for human existence, which is things like food, shelter, education, health is a big one for me.
Hmm.
Um,
So
and
food, shelter, And health, okay. That's
Yeah, and
3.
creating a safe environment.
Safe, yeah. Got that. Safe.
And I think for Jamaica, crime.
Sorry, I didn't hear your last one. I lost you for a moment there. And your last,
Well, I guess it's a spin-off from safety, but crime.
and crime. Okay. Okay. Got that. Okay. So, but health is the big one. Why is health the big one? Why is that, first of all?
Well, I always say health is wealth, but obviously without your health, you don't have the physical ability and even mental ability to function. So, if you're not taking care of yourself, how do you um, be able to provide and contribute to the society that you live in? And how are you able to take care of yourself or your family? So it's very important.
Okay. Okay. That's understood. So, are you advocating, and that should be in the constitution or a document for a national health service for Jamaica, which is free at the point of use? Could you pay for it through your tax system? Is that what you're advocating?
Yeah, they should have a universal, robust public health service for its citizens because a lot of them are in poverty, and obviously um, the healthcare is not equal. It's not equal for all, and most people cannot afford the private healthcare that is on the island. So it's important that the government make, some type of, I don't know, policy in their constitution or whatever to ensure that they have access to health services.
Mm-hmm. This is interesting. Uh, some sort, or you. So let's be clear, Ben. So you don't mind going to the American system where you have sort of private health company or insurance, or you're advocating for the government to take control, as we have here in Britain, a national health service that's paid for through the tax system.
I think Jamaica should model the same as the UK.
Right. Okay. Yeah. A national health service. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Now that makes to me perfect sense. Perfect sense. I know for many potential returning Jamaicans, one of the issues that they have to contend with is the fact that there is not a national health service in Jamaica, and therefore to access the health services can prove to be quite expensive. Yeah, quite expensive. So I get that. I get that. Um, General health, you noticed prior to coming on, I have these lifestyle messages. Okay. I don't know if you've heard it prior, and with a particular focus on those big public health issues such as diabetes, high blood pressure, hypertension. Okay, be another one. Obesity being another that is big in our community. High levels of cholesterol in our blood. I saw examples of the blood clots that occur in our arteries, and so on and so on. Is there, in your mind, general health? I get the particular health concerns that you've identified in the community here, or indeed in Jamaica, that you are particularly concerned with.
Well, you touched on some of them. I think in Jamaica, diabetes, because there's a
Mhm.
lot of sugar
Yes.
in some of the foods and fruits and drinks that people have. And
Mm.
again, it comes to access to good quality food.
Yes.
But again, blood pressure through stress. And again, that comes from the stress of not being able to thrive and
Mhm.
survive. And things like cholesterol and heart disease
Yes.
is very important. So again, the health services and dietary education is important,
Mhm.
and being able to have them access good food, which Jamaica does have.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes. But it's a distribution of it, which is the
yeah,
issue. Yeah, yeah. I get it. So it's interesting. So your first priority is health. We should ensure it's quoted in the Constitution that every Jamaican has the right to good health care and should be free at the point of use and therefore paid for through the tax system. Hey, politician, did you hear that? It's not been mentioned previously. I cannot argue with you. I cannot argue with you. And of course, access to good food is right. Let's tackle the issue of safety. I just want you to flesh out for me what you mean by Safety. The Jamaica is a tourist destination place. It's a wonderful place. What do you mean by safety? Come on now, explain.
Well, I mean, people do need safety and safeguarding, especially women and children, because yes, Jamaica is a lovely place, but it's got a high crime level. I think the highest crime rate in the world currently. And people live in a lot of rural environments and there's no lighting. There's a lot of things that put them in harm's way, and there's nothing to protect them. And again, that's something that's important because people are suffering, people are being harmed, and children are being damaged,
Mm-hmm.
through that. So it's important even to create safe roads and access to places that they know that they can again as citizens live and go out and not have to worry about the things that they're currently worrying about.
Now, you said Jamaica has a very high crime rate. How do you know that?
um,
Here in Britain, how do you know it's got a high crime rate?
my mother always goes on about it. It's, I watch certain podcasts and bloggers, and I read sometimes about what's going on because it's of my interest. So, and obviously there's a lot of killings, and so people hear of it in the Gleaner or wherever. So yeah.
So is it the fear of crime or is it actual fact?
I think it's actual fact.
All right. You know what I'm going to do? Because I know there are many Jamaicans listening to this and others watching this who might wish to contend with what you've just said. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do a quick internet search. Let me just do this now. One moment. Let me see if you're right. Because if you're wrong, then we can interrogate why you're wrong. Therefore, it's a perception. But if you're right, because the government had declared the figures and it compared it per 100,000 compared to other countries, then we have some validity. Okay, I found a website. Here we are. I found an interesting website called wisevoter.com, and it's got a sub-party called Murder Rate by Country. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to merge this with this live stream. Let's see if I could do this without any hassle. It'd be nice, wouldn't it? If we could do this without any hassle. And let's see if you're right. Because I suspect there is an issue here for discussions. And if I get this right here we go. And let me get the right. Oh, I'm using the wrong one. There we go. Yeah, let's just test this because you're using word of mouth. Okay. And whilst I accept we've got to use word of mouth often with these things, I want to make sure that we're not simply besmirching the reputation of our country of birth. Okay. So this is an interesting web. Can you see it? Can you see it?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's have a look at this. Let's go down to Jamaica. Let's see. Jamaica quoted here. There you are. So you see the flag. Let's see more. Let's see where Jamaica rates. Okay. Oh, wow. You are right. Jamaica is number one in the world. It has a murder rate of 52 persons per 100,000. Oh, gosh. It is number one in the male murder rate. Wow. 95 per 100,000. Number two for female murder rate at 9 per 100,000. And murder victims were 21 in the world. Wow, that's a bit of damning statement, isn't it?
Definitely.
Wow. Let's see if we can find Britain by comparison. Let's see United Kingdom. There we are, United Kingdom. Let's see how this United Kingdom rate. So for the murder rate for the United Kingdom is rated 58th in the world, and there's 1.7 person per 100,000. Okay, murder rate is 69, 1.17, and when it comes to victims per 100,000, I think they may have got that wrong there, but nevertheless, it's rated at 30th. Let's see how Jamaica compares to United States which is a country we typically associate with this sort of thing. So the United States male murder rate is 29th in the world, which is interesting. Ranked overall in the world, 34th in the world. For female murder rates, it's 20th in the world. Well, this does make for uncomfortable digestion, so I'm just looking up now. Let's go to a country that I featured only recently, Namibia. In fact, let's do Nigeria. Where's Nigeria? I know the Nigerians wouldn't want to. Oh, Nigeria is not quoted here, which is interesting. Nigeria is not quoted here. Nigeria is not quoted. Okay, let's do Namibia in that case, which is an interesting place I found. So Namibia is ranked overall 24th in the world. And for females, it is 6th in the world. And for males, it's 23rd in the world. All right. Okay. Maybe you have a point, Laverne. Maybe you have a point. I know that many Jamaicans will be lamenting those figures. Yeah. And some will want to deny it's a fact. But I suspect if I go across the various independent sources that review and monitor these things, it is a fact. So it is a big issue, and I now understand fully. But I wasn't completely aware, but I haven't spoken to you. Again, it needed a woman to say to us in our faces, we want a good healthcare system, and we must make sure Jamaica is safe for all people, and most certainly for Jamaicans, both men and women. And to be number one in the world is a devastating indictment on the country.
Yeah, for such a small population.
Yeah, per population for 100,000 when you do a comparison. Oh, yeah. And of course, much of it we recognize is driven by poverty. Yeah, poverty is the root cause of crime in Jamaica. Okay, which is why it's so important to invest in people. Okay, I know you mentioned it in passing, but not directly. Education. Okay, are you concerned about education in Jamaica?
Yeah, because I wasn't aware that they only have to fund education through primary school, which isn't enough again in the modern world for people to be able to compete and function. So it's definitely a big issue.
Yeah. Now, isn't that fascinating? Because, of course, the Constitution says that tertiary education is statutory. Okay. It doesn't enforce. It doesn't say you must ensure all citizens should receive the best possible education, and right through from nursery to advanced levels.
Yeah.
And that's what you'd want, yeah?
Definitely, because you have to, even when Obama came into office in America,
Yes.
he even said a GED is not enough. The way the world is shifting, a minimum of even a degree. So if you don't have high school education, it doesn't serve any purpose for you. And you'll always be at the bottom, which again is struggle and poverty. So it's important.
Maybe what we should do here, I just want to test that hypothesis that the Jamaican education system isn't fit for purpose, in fact, what you're saying. And therefore, let's test that. Let's see if I can find another international site that might look at literacy rates. Okay. Are you aware of what the literacy rate in Jamaica? Don't worry if you don't. Don't you worry.
No,
Let me see. Sorry?
I'm not aware.
Not aware. Okay. But you're aware, nevertheless, that if a country is not investing in its people and ensuring that they have the best possible education, okay, then of course that country, from an economic point of view, will suffer. Yeah? In the long term, it will suffer because it will not have the workforce needed to cope in the 21st, indeed going on 22nd centuries. It requires good education and good skills. Okay.
Yeah.
What I'm going to do then is if I can just do another website, if I can find another site that might give us some evidence. Again, this tests the premise because often we all make assumptions. So until it's tested, we don't know how robust that assumption is. I want to test it so that those politicians in Jamaica, those who are in positions of responsibility in Jamaica, those who are educated in Jamaica, understand and appreciate the implications of us not doing anything about this big issue. Okay, levels of literacy. I'm just looking for, as you speak, interesting sources. I believe I may have found one, and I'll bring it up on the screen in a moment. And for yourself, just give us some idea of your education, Laverne. Just give us some idea of your education.
I have a BSc in Communications and Cultural Studies and a Master's in Film and the Moving Image.
Oh wow! Oh wow! So, was your early education in Jamaica?
No, I was born and raised in the United Kingdom, so
Okay, but you have family in Jamaica still, of course.
yeah. My mum and dad are Jamaican, of Jamaican heritage. They were born in Jamaica,
Hmm.
and all of my family are Jamaican, the
Hmm.
one that I know of. So yeah.
Okay, I've found some interesting sites here. What I'm going to do, just bring up on the screen, and I'm going to show you some, draw some direct comparisons, because we do this not to shame or to embarrass, but to highlight the true position. Okay, and what I'm going to do, just bring it up if I can, and of course the system saying to me doesn't want to bring up Jamaica for some reason. And that may be telling, huh? That may be telling. That may be telling. That may be telling. Just talk about, you said your mother has discussed this issue. How has she discussed it in respect of education? Okay.
How she's discussed it.
Yes, yes.
Well, I mean, she was raised in a family that were big on education,
Hmm.
and so her philosophy was education is the passport and key to life.
Yes.
So she doesn't know any other way.
Mm.
And especially for people who are in a lower bracket, it's
Yes.
the only avenue that they can be given to try and get out of that. So it is kind of mandatory. I mean, there are individual cases that might have beat those odds, but it's not for the majority. So
Mm. Mhm.
we just kind of
And I
talk about
wonder,
it.
the original crafters of the Constitution, I wonder what they were thinking about when they, when they didn't require that the Jamaican government should ensure that every Jamaican had access to the best possible education. What do you think they were thinking about? I wonder.
I mean, they clearly wasn't thinking. And sometimes when you're from an elitist background, you don't really understand how certain things are important because, again, those type of people often come from families where they have access to even private education.
Yes.
So they probably thought at a basic level it gives them a chance and then they have to find their way, but it's not enough.
Now, you make another one of these profound observations, okay, to the rich and powerful in many of our countries, whether it be the Caribbean or in Africa, send their children to international schools to receive the best possible education. Indeed, send their children and they themselves to take advantage of other countries' healthcare systems, but not invest in the education and healthcare systems in their countries of origins.
Yeah.
Do you think that's what's going on in Jamaica as well?
Well, it is. And obviously, that means then you outsource a lot of your business. And
Hmm.
so the money isn't circled back into your economy.
Yeah.
It's actually going out overseas. So you're always going to have the us and them, and people will not be able to thrive in their country unless they have the access to that global element.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I always say, listen to the women. I always say, listen to the women. And that's a very profound indictment on ourselves, isn't it? Really? It really is a pretty profound indictment. And we need to think carefully of what you just said, Because how are we to build our societies if those who are the most able are opting out, are not utilizing the services in their countries. using international health services, international education systems. Yeah. Well, I know in this country right now, from many of the leaders in Africa and some parts of the Caribbean, to send their children to the best schools here in Britain. Yeah. Wow. That is truly a damning indictment. Should the Constitution, I wonder, effectively prevent such people from doing that? I don't know. I don't know. I'm only being radical here. I don't know. What do you think? What do you think?
I mean, it's difficult because in the modern world, you have to have a free market,
Okay.
but they can put things in place to ensure certain things are mandated. And I might, for example, I'm not sure if it's the same now, but in Nigeria,
Mm-hmm.
there are rules about who can buy land. There's certain things you can do to ensure that, again, your economy is feeding back into your citizens and
Mm-hmm.
not just allowing people to come in, utilize the resources and leave. So there's many things they can still do to protect that whilst competing in the international market. You can have a balance of both.
Mm-hmm. So should it be in the Constitution, or how would you, if you were Prime Minister of Jamaica today, how would you go about this? What is the what? Give us how you would tackle this. Well, I know you're a very capable person. Give it to the women, and they will do it. Come on, go.
Um, well, I think then that feeds back to there has to be a bit of socialism in policies.
Go.
I don't know for sure. I don't know the constitution, so I'm not an expert.
It's okay.
But similar to what Manley was trying to do,
Mm-hmm.
use your own resources and feed it back to your people,
Yes.
and give them a leveling up in the playing field to make money and feed it back. So it has to be a bit of social policies to ensure that the most vulnerable are protected and given access to the things that they can't afford themselves.
Wow. Isn't that profound? You going back to now you're quoting Manley, Michael Manu, yeah, Michael Manley, and I
He was, I
recall
think
when he
so, but I
came into
don't know everything. So,
power, a national hero for good reason, for good reason. That's interesting. That's interesting. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to bring up on the screen examples of literacy rates in Jamaica and compared to other countries. And I think this is what's going to be quite profound. Again, we do this not to embarrass, but to demonstrate the realities and why the Constitution, ensuring the Constitution defines the government's priorities in terms of spend and investment in the people, is so critical. Okay, so I'm going to bring up this site. One moment, let's bring it into stream, and I want you then to tell me the countries you'd like it to be compared to. Again, I'm doing this because a woman's identified health, safety, and education literacy levels are critical features that should be enshrined in the Constitution as an inalienable right for every citizen, particularly in Jamaica, but anywhere in the world. Okay, there you are. Can you see it on screen?
yeah.
Okay, let's go down to so this. Sorry, let me give it. I'm actually on Wikipedia. And it's a list of UN member states by age and gender and disparities. And this is UNESCO information. Okay, this is published by UNESCO. Okay, so let me go down to Jamaica. Again, I'm doing this because it is easy for people to dismiss. It's easy for people to dismiss that this is not fact. Okay, and I could go to a number of sources, but I know the UNESCO example is true. And just to be clear, these first two columns are youth literacy rates between 15 and 24, plus 25 literacy rates amongst the elderly, and the last column is youth and gender parity index, looking at the difference between male and females, in other words. Okay, so let's go down to Jamaica, and let's bring up Jamaica. Okay, this has the evidence. We Jamaicans are stubborn people, so I know that. So the literacy rates for the let's get it right again. Let's do it again, making sure it's understood. For the youth, 15 to 24. Okay, let's bring this up. I want to make sure it's clear. So we're running at a rate of 96.3%. Okay, at 15 to 24 literacy rates. Okay. And just to be clear on the second part of that column, this is the year. And so when I quote this figure, 96.3%, that's in 2014. Okay. The latest figure that was supplied to UNESCO, I'd imagine. Let's take this column. I'll just double check what's in this column. This is the adult plus 25. Okay. Go back down to Jamaica. And let's using Jamaica as a further index here. There it is. 88%. Okay. Now that's an interesting figure because we compare that to the United Kingdom. I'm particularly interested in plus 25, and I'll explain in a moment. Let's find United Kingdom somewhere here. Oh, United Kingdom not quoted. That's interesting. United States.
Yeah.
I wonder why. Okay, that's interesting omission. Anyway, let's in that case, then let's use another country here in Europe. Let's use Germany. Oh, Germany's not quoted either. Ha ha ha! Maybe I've not gone to the right site. Here we go. Never mind. But comparing Jamaica to, let's see, Nigeria. Let's do Nigeria first of all, then I'll do Ghana in a moment. Let's do Nigeria. Is Nigeria here? Nigeria's quoted. There we go. The first column, of course, is the youngsters. 2008 is, in fact, at 66.4%. And the plus 25 is 51%. Well, those are pretty devastating figures. I just noticed it 2008. I think I might need to find another source. 2008, I'm convinced that figure must be higher because this is 2008 is too long ago. I'm not going to use this figure, but it gives you a rough indication, though. It does give you a rough indication. It does give you a rough indication of what is happening. And that's happened in a number of our countries. Okay, I'm just stop that for the moment. If I may go back to health and maternity care. Okay. Here in this country, maternity care is particularly amongst Black women, women of African heritage, is a great concern. Is it equally of concern to you? Equally concerned to you?
You mean in the UK or in Jamaica?
Yes, the UK and in turn in Jamaica as well.
Yeah, I think so because the NHS, even in the UK, has been known to mistreat people of African heritage and treat them differently, even in the workforce, let alone and many have, not officially, but it's been known that many have died under the lack of care based on race. So it's very important. And again, Jamaica's health service, they just don't have a universal healthcare system whereby people can access it unless they have money. And again, that's the private healthcare, but the public healthcare system isn't effective and leaves people in positions where they get sick or they can even have, miscarriages or whatever it may be through the lack of care that they have access to. So it's very important.
I hear you, and you're absolutely right, of course. So we're very clear. A national health service, a good education service. Again, I'm going to assume on the same principle of the health service, it should be free at the point of use. The education system, yep, okay. Yeah. And it should invest in the people to an advanced level. Invest in the people so you're educated to a high level, okay, and therefore you're in a position to acquire the skills suitable for the 21st, going on 22nd century. I think that's right. Yeah. You want a safe environment. Jamaica should not have the murder rate that it has. Yeah. I think that's pretty clear and pretty damning. Okay. If I may just talk about the education, but just look at it from the point of view of the technology. Clearly, Jamaica is very much a tourist place, but very much founded on the agricultural sector. Okay, what is your view in respect of the 21st century and the use of the internet and the technology that comes with that. What's your opinion in respect of Jamaica and our constitution? How do we ensure that we keep up with other nations of the world in respect of the technologies, new emerging technologies that we see around the world?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know for sure, but I have looked at things where I think the government are talking in Jamaica about technology, but I think it should be something that's mandated because again, people need universal access to technology. We've had digital transformation around the globe, and if you don't keep up with that, then you kind of remain as a third world.
Mm,
And again, people cannot compete, engage, and understand even what's going on in the world without access to that technology. So it's important. I don't see a future without technology, so it must be rolled out as a strategic plan for everyone.
mm.
Same as education, it's the same thing. It has to, they should, if they want a thriving country.
You make again one of these fundamental points, about access to what here in Britain is akin to a human right. Yeah, you can't function here in Britain if you don't have access to the internet. You can pay for your goods using a credit card or debit card, but in order to pay for the goods, the payment is transmitted via a secure internet connection to your bank.
Yeah,
Yeah, isn't that right? Yeah, isn't that right?
that's right.
Yeah, and as a consequence, if you don't have good access to the internet, you're not able to access all the wealth of information that's available via the internet. Okay. Okay, why don't we just look at the Jamaica in respect of access to the internet? And this is by the World Bank. And they're looking at it from the point of view of the numbers of people per 100,000 of access to the internet. And I see Earl Sims on the chat using Facebook. I see who's questioned where the stats coming from. So I just reiterate. So this is from the World Bank, and it has reviewed, surveyed countries across the world the access to the internet. And the reason why the World Bank would have done it, of course, is because the internet is the backbone of an advanced economy. In fact, for all of our economies, but most certainly for an advanced economy. And if you take advantage of the new technologies that are emerging, the internet is the very basis of it. So if I'm going to do another mail merge on the stream, and you tell me your opinion here, Laverne. You've got access to the internet, and explain why it is so important. Sorry, let me just do this one more time. Sorry about that. Let me do it one more time. I think it's such an important observation you've made, and I want to make sure that the people, well, I know some are very resistant when you share facts with them, they want to ignore it and say it's not true. You notice Earl Sims on the chat has already questioned the source of the data. Okay, so let me just do this here. Let's just see we've got the right screen in front of you. Nope, not getting the right screen. Okay, one moment. I'll do it one more time. Get this right. Sorry about this. And here we go. Here we are. This will work. Here we are. I've got it down. Here we are. Okay. Hopefully, you've got it right. Now, can you see that all right, Laverne?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go down to Jamaica. Let's go down to Jamaica. And here is Jamaica. As of 2021, it appears, and let's note the second column, in terms of the weighting, in other words, what it's doing here is looking at a percentage of the total population access to the internet. And it says here that the Jamaican population, and bring it up on the screen, and you'll see it now, Jamaica is 82%. All right? 82% of Jamaicans have access to the internet in one form. And typically, that I suspect that will be by their mobile phones. Okay. Let's see how that compares. Let's hope it's there this time by United Kingdom. There we are. So here in the United Kingdom, is 97%. Now, interestingly, United States, advanced United States, it's 82%. So more people in Britain have access to the internet, which is a curious observation, isn't it? That's
Oh,
curious.
definitely. Wow.
Yeah. Okay. Let's look at Nigeria. Okay. I want the Nigerians always to be part of our discussions. 55% of Nigerians in 2021 had access to the internet, which is not a good omen for that country with its growing population and the need to create wealth to meet the needs of that population. And for those who are leaders in Nigeria, that must be a wake-up call. Let's just go to Ghana. Let's have a look at Ghana. I know quite a few Ghanaians are viewing this show. Let's look at Ghana in terms of their accessing the. It's not here. They're not here, unfortunately. Which I hope is not a omen for Ghana, but we don't have Ghana quoted here for some reason. But I would like to have seen figures for Ghana. But let's look at maybe, I know for Germany, it's 82%. Again, surprising figures. These are surprising figures. But this goes to show, access to the internet and how you use that information is important. And the other country I just want to go to very quickly is Namibia, country of interest to us because it's one of those emerging economies. Again, it's not quoted here. Again, I hope that's not an omen for Namibia in terms of access to the internet. I mean, the other issue I know for many Jamaicans is not so much access to the internet, it's the cost of accessing the internet. Yep. Which is the other barrier that interferes with our ability to promote economic vitality of that country. Okay. So we've gone through a series of priorities from a woman's perspective. Okay. Are you able to quote a priority that you believe will be uniquely and directly will benefit women and girls? Any particular priorities?
Well, again, in that element, it's just about leveling up because often,
Okay.
even around the world, women get less wages in the same jobs that they do as men,
Mm-hmm.
and they are discriminated against. And Jamaica, not for everyone, but there are elements in that culture where they do look at females as subordinates. And okay, that's a different debate. But as far as, again, access to them being protected and safeguarded
Mm-hmm.
and given the right to freely be safe and get education and access to economics and financials and all the things, again, they deserve to thrive like anybody else, but they do need added protection, I think, in that island until, maybe the stats level them up a bit more. I don't know how long or what can be done to bring it, but again, that comes back to policy and implementation. So
But if it's written into the constitution, equality of opportunity for all,
yeah,
regardless of
yeah,
your gender, your ethnicity, your religious affiliation, or other consideration, you want equality for opportunity
yeah,
for all.
yeah,
Okay,
equal opportunities, and yeah,
again, perfectly reasonable, isn't it?
yeah,
Yes. Yeah, that's perfectly reasonable. I cannot argue with you. I might add to this. There's a British MP who I've admired in the past. She's now passed, and some of you will recall her name. But her name is Claire Short. Okay? You may not know her. I've read a biography, but I came to know of her because she was the very first British MP who argued that sanitary towels should be free to use for all women because it's equivalent to water. You shouldn't have to pay for it because it's absolute necessity. Okay. I personally believe that was absolutely right, and that sanitary towels should not be a part of capitalism. It should be free to obtain sanitary towels for all women and girls. regardless. Therefore, access to a sanitary towel should not be determined by your ability to pay. Now, you could argue I'm being a feminist, but I don't care. I think it's right. I think it's absolutely right. What's your opinion?
Well, yeah, I don't even think that's feminism. Again, that's again the basic essentials to survival. And I actually did see on Instagram, there's a big influencer in Jamaica, and she went somewhere near downtown Kingston to give out money.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a row where homeless people live.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a female, not only didn't she have underwear,
Mm-hmm.
she had her menstrual cycle and is on the floor. That's inhumane. So the bottom line is, again, back to what you said about women and children, they do need access to things, even for simple hygiene purposes,
Mm-hmm.
and they deserve that. That's their basic human right. So the government does, again, they serve the citizens, or they're supposed to, and they have to put measures in place, because even for health and safety, leaving that kind of debris, it's not sanitary for even somebody to then have to go and walk on that, not knowing that that might be there. So at every level, you have to, fix those type of problems. That shouldn't even happen to one person, because there's enough money on the island. There's enough for all if it's distributed correctly.
Thank you. I think that's absolutely right. I know the leaders in Jamaica will hear these words. Hear these words. Do you mind if I open up the phone line, take a few calls from women? I want phone calls from women only. Is that okay, Brother Vern? Yeah. Okay, good. I'm going to open the phone line. Whilst I'm doing that, I'm going to ask you another question. Issues particularly ensuring that the revised constitution, particularly serves women. Talking about women's health. What about child rearing? Access to nursery schools and so on. What would you say about that as a human right that should be written into constitution? What's your opinion?
Well, yeah, again, it comes back to early childhood, and education shows that often it's a link to how well people can do in latter years. So it's very important. And I actually got a stat. Thank you, Gareth. The report of the Jamaican Education Transformation Commission, chaired by Professor Orlando Patterson, stated that most students at the primary level were barely literate. So again, this was in 2019, and the exam revealed that 33% of students cannot read or barely can write or anything. So it's important that even at a nursery level that kids are engaged to get development. Sometimes they don't have access to that at their home, again, due to poverty. So we have to make a real concerted effort to ensure that the citizens, especially those that are most vulnerable, get the access, because ultimately it thrives Jamaica. It reduces crime. There's so many layers to catching families and children and women early, from health and wellness down to literacy. So it's not something that they can ignore if they want the country to do well and not be outsourced, where other people around the world are enjoying the island and its own citizens are suffering in a very dire way.
Well said, Laverne. Well said. Okay, the voice of women. We're hearing the voice of women. I see we've got a caller on the line. Caller, I can't see your extension numbers. Caller, can you hear us all right, first of all?
Yes, I can hear you.
Moderator
is Brother Akram.
Brother Akram. Look, I love you. Hold on, Brother Akram.
Yeah, I just want to see if I can
hold on, Brother Akram. Hold on.
Some of the questions you've been asking.
I know, but Brother Akram, hold on. I appreciate the fact that you've called in. But today, I want to hear from women. Yep. I love you dearly. Don't misunderstand. But I'm really keen to hear from women. Okay? We want to hear the voices of women. Okay? So I'm going to ask you,
no
please.
No problem. But can I just make my point? Because
very quickly,
I think it's
very
vital,
quickly, please.
In the context of what you're going through. Okay? One, you was asking about the literacy of Jamaica, and I wanted to say you need to compare it with the other Caribbean islands, because the majority of the other Caribbean islands is between 96 and 99%
Okay.
literacy as compared with Jamaica, which is about 86 or 88%. Okay,
Indeed.
That's one. So that's where you need to compare it. Now, the other thing that you're talking about healthcare. Now, healthcare is a very difficult area because, as I said, unless you have the sort of money of Gaddafi and some of these other Irish places, where you can benefit from the wealth of the country, Britain and so forth and those other European places, they have a standard where they tax their people and they have access to taxing their people. I mean, now, for instance, in UK,
Brother Akram, hold on a second. Yeah. Hold on a second there. Hold on a second. Look, I'll give you a minute. The minute's passed. I want to hear from women, okay? I'm going to say thank you. Thank you for the call. Okay. But I want to hear from women. No. I want to hear from women. I want the women to come in. I want us men to hold back and just listen to the women. I want to hear the women's voices. So I want to thank you for the call. I've taken note of your point. I'll relay them back to Laverne, but I will want to hear from women. Today, we want to hear the women's voices. And women, thank you, Brother Akram. I must go now. Women, please call in. The number to call, it's 0203 289 6504. I repeat, to call in, we've got a short window, 0203 289 6504. We want to hear from women. Set out your priorities for a future constitution to ensure it serves the needs of women and girls. It's so important. We want to hear your voices. Us men, and you can see, we're right there in your faces, but we want to hear from women, because not to hear from women, it would be not to hear from what is half or more of the population. Huh? Is that true? Half the population. So we need and we must hear from women. So Laverne, let's go back to what he said. He as I said about these stats, he argued that we should draw a comparison between Jamaica and the other Caribbean islands, and Jamaica comparatively is performing quite poorly. And I get that as a point in terms of literacy rates, and I get that as a point. Okay. Just give us, because your academic studies in sociology will give us some idea of the implications of a country where the average reading age is well below the chronological age. Okay, and the average reading age, I understand, from the United Nations across the world, is around 10 or 11 years old.
Oh.
Indeed. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that absolutely crazy? What do you consider is the likely implications of not ensuring that the government ensures that the population is reading at their chronological age? What do you think is the implications of it?
Well, again, you just create an army of disadvantaged people that end up dependent upon you. So long term, you end up spending more money.
Yes.
Because you're carrying people that do not have the skills to go out there and even contribute, in jobs that are needed for the country to function. They cannot compete on a global scale. So again, you have a high rate of poverty, a lot of illnesses, ailments, deaths, which burden the state because they're literally not productive, and it's not through their own fault. Governments, again, are there to serve its citizens, and they have to have a robust system in place to ensure that everybody gets access to what they need at whatever level that is. And if you're not providing the basic essentials, then you're not really serving the people.
Yes, you're absolutely right. Again, the woman has spoken. The woman has spoken. Can I just probe you again as regards priorities? Do you see that it's important to protect, particularly from a woman's perspective, heritage, culture, artistic ambitions and achievements of the people, and but most certainly women.
Yeah, you have to, because there are certain traditions that were inherited, and like in Jamaica, a kind of example of that is with the Maroons. So
Mm-hmm.
it's very important that we understand our history, we preserve it, because obviously, if you don't know where you come from, you don't know where you're going. And then
Indeed.
Jamaica's just got to become a hub of a democratic system, or a mini version of the West,
Mm-hmm.
and then the heritage is lost. So again, you have to preserve certain historical sites. You have to allow people to, preserve who they are as real Jamaicans, not a watered down version that allows people to come and go on the plane with a Rasta hat and say, wow, this was an amazing trip. You have to protect Jamaica and let the people shape your constitution for the people, by the people.
Yes, yes. Well said, well said, well said, well said. And if I just take this further, particularly in respect to women and protecting the history of women's contribution to Jamaica, because the majority, as you know, the national heroes are men, which is
Yeah.
curious, you know. So how are you referring to a you know we know here in South London we have an MP by the name of Howard Harman, who is principally responsible for promoting the Equalities Act, 2010 Equalities Act. Do you think that Jamaica, both enshrined in its constitution, but to have a similar act in Jamaica which promotes equalities for all Jamaicans? What's your opinion?
Yeah, they should. Again, if you don't implement things, and nothing gets executed. But
Mm-hmm.
also, it's not just about policy. People have to be held accountable. They have to be able to have scrutiny, and constantly review how things are going, and engage women at a higher level. They
Yes.
do seem to have a lot of thriving Jamaican women, but at the level of power where they can execute and implement, I'm not sure how effective it is and what their contribution is. And I always think that they have to engage the women of the diaspora, because they are also, there's quite a lot of powerful ones, and they can contribute greatly to policy, and even helping, through, if we had, for example, better access to digital, they could do a lot of works to engage and again help and uplift and help the women and girls in Jamaica. Even from an educational perspective, there's a lot that can be done online if they had access to that. But
Okay.
they do need to ensure that they protect the women, and also get women to help write that policy.
Well said, well said, well said. And again, I know that they are listening and they're viewing this. I'm interested. I know what's going to happen. Last few minutes of the show, that I start receiving the calls, but I'm particularly keen to hear from women. Women, please share your views. Tell us, share with us your priorities. To call into the studio, it's 0203 289 6504. Repeat, 0203 289 6504. If you're on Skype, these calls are free of charge. If you're overseas, you take off the first zero and it's +44, then followed by 203 289 6504. We welcome the views, the opinions of women. And can I just go on then very quickly to another aspect of your priority? And I would just want to tackle it this way. So, of course, you very neatly outlined what women's priority will be. Okay, and I get that. Okay, should we link your priorities to the priorities of children, or should we have a separate section in the Constitution that is devoted to the rights and the priorities and our central focus around children? What's your opinion?
Yeah, I think the priorities is for everyone, but they should have clauses specific to children.
Absolutely.
Um, and back to like what you were saying about the women and heritage, they should have specific clauses for that.
Mm-hmm.
And ensure again that they are protected laws, that those are mandated and maybe a priority within trying to service everyone. They should be a priority.
Again, what I'm really interested in is the different tone. The prior conversations I've had about the Constitution has been very technical, but you've been very much down to earth. Why are you so down to earth and not get involved in technicalities of the Constitution? Why are you down to earth? Why is that different? Different tone altogether. Go on.
Because a lot of the bureaucratic systems I don't believe are effective,
Mm-hmm.
and so those technicalities don't work. People want help in real time.
Yes.
And the bottom line is we have to ensure that we're not just always speaking and putting plans in place, and as we rotate 5 years, 10 years, we're back to the drawing board because
Mm-hmm.
it's not effective. So it is important that we do things at a grassroots level. And yeah, that's just what it is. We have to be practical. And yes, you do need to put measures in place, but if they're just in the print,
Mm-hmm.
then it means nothing.
Yeah, yeah. You're quite right. Quite right. Quite right. Are there particular Jamaican women you want to give light to before we go? Which of the Jamaican women have most impressed you over time?
Um, yeah, Rita Marley, um,
Yeah.
Miss
Why
Lou,
Tamale? That's interesting.
yeah, and obviously as a person that contributed to government and did very well in a difficult situation, Portia Simpson
Portia
Miller,
Simpson. Yes.
and just even the ordinary women of Jamaica that keep the foundation going in such awful
Yes.
and challenging situations. It's very difficult. A lot of the grandmothers who often raise
Yes.
Jamaican people while their parents are abroad
Mm-hmm.
in the diaspora trying to set up a better life. So again, the unheard and unspoken of voices that actually are amazing soldiers.
Yes. I completely agree, and you make a really interesting point about those two personalities. I recall Portia Simpson when she was in power, okay, a strong desire to promote family values and support the family in particular, and in turn thereby supporting women, both health, good education, all the issues you've raised today. She most certainly championed, and thank you for that intervention. I suppose maybe in closing, if there was a message you wish to send to the politicians and the leaders in Jamaica in relation to the constitution, what would be your final message to them?
If they don't engage the diaspora,
Mm-hmm.
they're going to have much of the same. The diaspora are very big in contributing to Jamaica. They're very loyal. Um, they want to do more, and they often have to help their families or pots of different charities, but
Yes.
they need to be engaged at a government level because the diaspora does not need Jamaica, but Jamaica needs the diaspora.
Well said. Well said. Wow. There you go. Yeah, there you are, the voice of a women. Yeah, that's a powerful way to end, isn't it? That's a powerful way to end. I'm trying to think if there's a response. No, I'm going to just take that one because that's a powerful way to end. That's a powerful way to end. Just to be clear, though, diaspora men and women, that's without a shadow of a doubt. And you're right about the transfer of remittance to Jamaica, without a shadow of a doubt. Is there an issue around the brain drain, constant brain drain that Jamaica has suffered because we speak English and we've got access to the United States and, of course, to Britain, which are big markets and it can easily absorb our work, as workers. Yeah, is there something about that we need to change as Jamaicans? Oh, I see we've got a caller on the line. With number ending 9176. Good morning, caller.
Morning, Martin. How are you doing?
Oh, good morning there. Good morning. How are you? Huh?
I'm fine, thank you very much. Sorry, I'm listening on my phone, so it was very difficult to listen, which I wanted to do, and to telephone in as well.
Okay, not a problem. What question do you have for Laverne here, representing the voice of women?
Can I just say, Laverne, thank you. You have brought up so many of the things that really needed to be said. I agree with everything you've said, but to even going further, should I say, when I went to Jamaica, which was many, many years ago, I don't know if the situation has changed, but even things like the ordinary, access to water, access to sanitation, in many, many areas, there wasn't any.
Yes.
And how can you, when I know you were speaking about education and health and all the rest of it, but if you haven't got the basic things, structures, kind of institute, then it's very, very difficult to, to go forward. Give a man or a woman, food, and they'll eat for the day, but give them a rod, a fishing rod, or the tools.
Absolutely.
Then they can actually start doing things for themselves and looking forward to doing things. They can feed themselves. Once the basics are actually put in, then people can start looking at education and kind of having not only time, the effort that they can put into looking after themselves.
I think you're right there, caller. I think you're right. Access to good sanitation is an absolute priority and should be written into the Constitution that all citizenry should have access to good sanitation and of course, fresh water.
Yeah, when I was in Dominica, one of the things I was really, really impressed about is that at every kind of not only street corner, but when you go up into the mountains or the hills, every kind of corner of a field, they've actually put up water stands.
Oh, right. Okay. Right.
So you can have fresh water no matter where you are on the island.
Yes. Well, that's that's right.
Sorry.
No.
And the other thing was with education. Education is only good if the government actually want change. Because once you start to educate the people, and once you start to actually teach them, rights and give them access to, proper, a structured education as to how they can actually influence and make have a right for a say.
Yes.
Then you've got to do something about it.
Well said. Well said. Thank you for those points. All right. I think Laverne has been nodding her head all along. Yeah, she's been nodding her head. Thank you for the call.
Thank you. Keep up the good work.
Thank you for the call. Thank you. Wow, Laverne. There you are. There you are. That is really a series of really useful points. That access to clean, fresh water, and of course, good sanitation. Should also be a human right written into the Constitution, so it's clear that all governments, regardless of their political colours, have to prioritise this because it's in the Constitution. Okay, that would make a tremendous difference to the quality of life for all Jamaicans, and not just those who are tourists and are in those effectively cordoned off from the rest of the island. So I think that's right. Wow, that was powerful. That was a powerful intervention. I've got maybe another minute with yourself. Your closing words. Come on, another one of your closing words. As we had a caller. Another one. Your last one was powerful. Come on, come up with another one. We want to hear the wise woman speak. Go ahead.
Oh man, what are my closing words? Jamaica is such a beautiful island. It's well loved. Even the people abroad who don't go back for reasons of crime and they're heartfelt towards their culture, they're very supportive. So I just hope and I pray that we can come together and that the government will wake up and understand that if they don't realize what keeping people down is not the way to go, because we're greater as one, and unity is strength. And you have to engage us at an international level so that the island can be restored to some of the times what it once was and what it can be.
Wow. The key word I heard there, the greater is one, unity is strength. The voice of the women. We've heard from the women this morning. We needed to hear from the women. Laverne, thank you. Thank you for sharing your perspective. And there are fundamental issues, your perspective. Thank you so much. Good day to you. I look forward, I'll speak to you after the show because that was truly inspirational. Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
Blessing. My blessings to you. My blessings. Wow. There you are, people. The voice of the women. It's it didn't need to become technical. It was those fundamental human rights. It meant for both women and men, but we made sure that the women's voice is heard. We've made sure those voices have been heard. Not only have they been heard, that they've been, hopefully, they will be responded to. They will be responded to. You heard the caller give an affirmation. An affirmation. There you are. There's the affirmation on the screen. Thumbs up. But then added to it, clean, fresh water, good sanitation. Common sense, really, isn't it? It is common sense. You cannot argue with that. Just common sense. Anyway, there you are. Thank you. We needed to do this. We might have to do it again. I want to get a further woman perspective because we've had many men on my show. I need to hear from the women because ultimately we serve our women and ensure that our women have the very best, live healthy, long lives. We want to make sure that is always the case. We want to make sure that's also the case. But before I go, I did want to give a further shout out to, as you know, to a number of organizations who are center stage in our community. I want to give an affirmation to the National Association of Black Supplementary Schools, or NABS. They are, of course, a collection of schools of different types. So Saturday schools, after-school institutions, or indeed day schools, which are wholly funded by our community. I want to give a big shout out to them. And if you wish to support one of your local Saturday schools, supplementary schools, or cultural schools aimed to serve and support our children, I commend this organization to you as our national network. The website address is www.nabss.org.uk or email at info at nabss.org.uk or call the Inspired Brother Near on 07958 348 558. I commend the National Association of Black Supplementary Schools to you as an organization involved in reparations, because reparations begins with self. We are involved in our repair. I want to give another big shout out very quickly, if I can get to write things up there. Then I want to give a big shout out to, of course, our inspired business growth consultant, Dwayne Reed, who was on this podcast only a few weeks ago, an inspired African man, totally committed to our economic development. I applaud his work. I commend him to you. And I say again, before I give out his details, don't just take his information, ensure he's amply rewarded so he can eat, he can continue to provide that service to the wider community. So to contact him is Dwayne Reed, DWAINREID.com, or you can phone him on 07931 403 992. I commend the work of Dwayne Reed to you all. And lastly, very quickly, of course, I want to again go back to an earlier show, which was focused on Namibia. I wish to commend Loomis Cultural Tours. Namibia, a place to visit, possibly a place to have your home, certainly a place to invest, a place to create wealth for yourself. So contact Loomis Tours so you can at least visit the country at info@loomiscultural.com. Tours. LUMISCULTURALTOURS.com. Loomis Cultural Tours. Okay, or you can phone them on, depending on upon your country of origin, it's plus 264 8171 7141. Okay, so I commend them to you, and Brother Kalanji, I hope you're doing well. And lastly, before you go, and if you're viewing us via YouTube or Facebook, please don't forget to give an affirmation to us. So if you're on YouTube, don't forget, give us the thumbs up. Remember, the thumbs up. We welcome the thumbs up, the like, in other words, the like. Don't forget to follow us. Yep, subscribe for free on YouTube and indeed on Facebook under The Motivator Show. On Mixcloud, of course, you can follow us on Mixcloud as well. It is the perfect way to give affirmation that the content you receive is strong, meets your needs, and not only meets your needs, your family's needs, your friends' needs, your network needs, our community's needs, and also provide some indication to us as to other subjects, other people we should bring forth. What I'm very careful to do is not begin to bring here the greats and the good. I want those who are passionate, those who care, those who display great empathy for their families, the community, and understand working together is the only way forward. Working, collaborating together is the only way forward. Overcoming the interpersonal nonsense is the only way forward. So we can collectively work to common aim and common purpose. Common aim and common purpose. I'm going to disconnect from the Galaxy Freeway Network now. Let's do that now. Just say in conclusion, that we will continue to develop the themes of these shows, and we are now planning to develop a series of new channels for the show with very, very, very specific themes, and the details will be revealed in the future in early 2024. But the future is bright. Remember, this is where we translate our words into action, and where success is ours for the taking. Yeah, you got to believe it. You got to believe it. Be strong, be upright, be proud, because we will define the future. These are empowerment shows to share with you useful information so you're motivated to effect change in your personal life, your family's life, indeed, our community's life. Wherever you might be, either in Britain, Europe, whether in the Caribbean or Africa, or the United States or the Americas, we can together make the difference. We can together make the difference. And if in doubt, I always say, as you know, if in doubt, speak to those who know better. Speak to those you trust. Speak to those you respect. Speak to those who express sincerity in their words. For that encouragement that occasionally we all need. Until the next strong, I remain the motivator.